it appears to me as though he's made some adjustments in a very short period of time. And he's got good guys working with him. So I would say this, though. If you look hard enough at anybody, you can be real picky. And I think you've got to be careful about losing sight of the big picture and how what kind of a player he is, what kind of a winner he is, what kind of a person he is. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good about this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Your impressions, you've been in the league a long time. Is he a guy who can be successful?
Well, you know what? I'm going to steer clear of that. I think Tim Tebow is one of those guys you root for. It's in my opinion that if he's on your football team, you have a better football team. The challenge for anybody, not just Tim, but anybody who plays the position is you make the changes, and you make them, and you do it in a workout, and you can do it at a combine. But what happens when you're playing? What happens when you're competing and it's happening fast? Can you do it then if it's necessary? You know, I'm still on the bench here about deciding whether it's necessary. He's done a lot of great things. So, but if that's his goal and that's what he wants to do, that would be the next challenge to see how he does it with game conditions.
Mike was working with Steve Young at all. I know, obviously, there was some development there.
Well, no. Well,
was there?
They're both left-handed.
Yeah.
That's where I'll stop the comparison.
Was that? But there was. I mean, it's just as far as developing him mechanically. Were there adjustments that you had to make with him? And maybe is he an example of a guy who had to develop?
I would steer clear of that. Okay. With that comparison. I mean, Steve was a very polished passer. You know, and with the great athletes, the quarterback that can run, sometimes it takes a little off their throwing ability. I mean, people say, well, he's a great runner and a good passer, or whatever they say. And that's not always the case. I mean, it's just that both of those guys, and Steve was a great runner in that position. So. But Steve could really throw the ball. He didn't have to be much stuff.
Mike, have you put the tape on Tebow and watched the tape and seen what do you? They didn't ask him to read the field last year. He didn't do a lot of it. Can you learn that?
Oh, sure. He really has to. You know, he's a bright guy. He's a willing guy. He's very coachable. He's exactly what you want. That way, but you know, there's a learning curve. If you're, he's been in a systems offense his career here and done very, very well. It's a very successful offensive philosophy. When you come into the NFL, and you can see people are trying to do it a little bit at times in the NFL field. But really, it's a different. You're asking the quarterback to do different things.
And Mike, it wasn't Urban Meyer's job to prepare him for an NFL team. He's trying to win games.
Absolutely. I mean, the college experience. You know, they did exactly what they had to do, and Tim did exactly what he had to do. I can't imagine. I mean, there hasn't been many more wonderful college experiences than that young man's had here.
When you're adjusting someone's mechanics, like some of the stuff that he is doing, how hard is it to make it natural? Where it's, I think you kind of touched on it earlier, where it's like
that's the challenge.
Yeah, is it possible? Have you seen it?
Sure. I mean, you're not going to get anybody who works any harder trying to do it if that's what he feels he needs to do.
Yeah.
I think there are some still questions about that. I think I don't think everybody in the room says he needs to change dramatically. So we'll see where it goes. I can't speak for anyone else. I wouldn't begin to. But, for me, this is a good thing. I'm glad I was here. He's a wonderful young guy. And, like I said, we got a little ways before here in the draft, and now in the draft, and we'll see what happens. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Hey, Jim.
How are you, Mike? Accuracy in assessing a quarterback.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, where do you place
Well, your ability to pass the ball accurately, I think, is probably number one. I mean, I think it has to be. That's what you have to get done. That's what you're asked to do. There are some things closely, intelligence, football intelligence is right up near the top. The ability to move is right up near the top. but you're getting paid to pass the ball from here to there. So that's what you have to be able to do.
How many guys improve their accuracy substantially from when you first get them to, say, 2 or 3 years later?
Well, you'd hope you could coach that up. You know, I think it can be one of the more difficult things to do. I think that is kind of, if a guy's somewhat accurate, he's usually accurate. If he's not, you got a little bit of a tough go. I wouldn't call it dramatic. I really wouldn't. I'd say there are subtle differences, and those of us that know the position a little bit and watch the position and coach the position, you saw it. You saw he's worked hard on changing some of his technique, and it's I root for him. I mean, he's a wonderful young man. I hope for guys like that, and you know what? He's going to make some team very happy.